Assalamu alaikum. Today we have 29th lecture for Business Finance MGT 232. In the last lecture we were studying about the capital markets. Today we will be starting a new chapter that is about the long-term debt instruments and equity instruments. Now long-term debt instruments includes your bonds and your equity instruments includes your common stock and preferred stock. Now we have studied its valuation, the bond valuation and the stock valuation in our previous chapters of chapter 5 or 6, but we will be focusing on the more details and theoretical details of these bonds and common stock and preferred stock today. Let's have a brief overview of our last lecture about the capital markets, where we studied about the standby arrangement and few other details about the public issue to the public issue of the companies. Now, when we talk about the standby arrangement, it is mostly related to the offering of shares to the general public. Whenever the company has to offer the shares to the general public, it is mostly in terms of issuing a specified subscription to the general public. Whenever we have to issue some certain stocks for equity financing to the general public, it is from the authorized capital. For example, we have authorized capital. Out of that authorized capital, we have issued capital, and that is the amount of capital or the amount of shares we are going to issue to our general public. Now, when we talk about the issuing of shares, we have certain risks involved. For example, if we have to issue, for example, 500 shares, 500,000 shares, let's suppose. Out of 500,000 shares, there is a risk that only 300,000 shares will be issued and remaining 200,000 shares will not be sold out. So in that case, the organizations would definitely like to take a certain precautionary measure in order to sell out the whole subscription. That is, they are fully going to issue all the shares they required for specific financing for. Now in that case, companies go for standby arrangement. Now when we talk about standby arrangement, it is where we include our underwriters. Standby arrangement specifically means that a company is going to issue its shares, and the remaining amount of shares, which we call it as under subscription, that is कि 300,000 shares issue हो गए हैं, जो 200,000 shares रह गए हैं, that is your under subscription. The general public did not or the investors did not show interest in buying more shares of the company. So whenever there are this under subscription, we go for a certain arrangement, standby, that is called standby arrangement, and that arrangement is with the underwriters. Now we have studied underwriters before as well. They are mostly your financial intermediaries, specifically your investment banker. There is an investment banker who acts as an underwriter for the company, that in case the company's whole issue has not been sold out to the general public, the remaining amount of shares will be sold out by the investment bankers. Now in that standby arrangement, and the role of underwriter or the investment banker has very much importance in issuing your shares to the general public. Now for example, 300 shares has been issued, 200,000 shares has still remaining. So for 200,000 shares, the company will sell out that 200,000 shares to the underwriter, and they have a contract before issuing the issue to the general public that whatever amount of shares are remaining, they will be sold out or they will be purchased by the investment banker, and the investment banker on a specific price in a specific time period will issue that shares to the general public. Now, why we the companies need that standby arrangement, and why do they have to go in contract with the underwriter? Now, there is a benefit for underwriter that they are going to have a profit. For example, they are going to purchase the shares from the company at the market price of 10 rupees, and they are going to sell that share to the general public for 11 rupees. Now 11 rupees and 10 rupees, that margin of profit margin of 1 rupee on each share is the profit of the underwriter or the investment banker. Besides that, investment bankers sometimes also require some kind of a fee to be paid to them for issuing issuing the shares of the general public. Now when we specifically talk about underwriters and their roles, it includes the helping the organization in issuing the shares, the distribution of the shares, and then they also help in giving the advice to the companies. They also help in setting the general prices of the shares and helping the organizations to set certain prices to reduce the cost, and they also help in reducing the cost. Specifically, underwriters lower the cost of the overall cost of the organization. Now, the underwriters, when go for this standby arrangement, they have certain benefits of this profit and commission. What they do is they purchase shares from the from the company and issue those shares to the general public, because they have more contracts and more contacts, and they have more specific customers who are very much rely on them to get their shares issued. Then we have the oversubscription privilege. Now, the oversubscription, we does discuss about the oversubscription privilege when we talk about the undersubscription. Now, one condition is that when there is undersubscription, that is the total number of shares which company want to issue does not get sold out to the general public. For example, 300,000 shares थे, जिनमें से सिर्फ 200,000 shares जो है total 500 थे, जिसमें से 300,000 हो गए और 200,000 नहीं हो सके, जो कि उन्होंने इन्वेस्टमेंट बैंकर के साथ अंडरराइटिंग में किया. Now the remaining 200,000 shares are your under subscription. Now, when we talk about oversubscription, it is mostly like, for example, we have in the last lecture we studied about this example. For example, we have total 500,000 shares to be issued to the general public. Out of those 500,000 shares, we have 450,000 shares issued. The remaining 50,000 shares remaining. Out of these 50,000 shares, the shareholders or the investors, they prefer that they want to get more shares of the company. For example, they say they want to have 80,000 shares of the company. That is your demand. That is demand of the shareholders, that they want 80,000 shares. The remaining amount of shares 50, plus they want the 30,000 shares more they want to purchase from the company. तो company के वो इतने ज़्यादा shares और चाहते हैं. तो इसका मतलब है कि company has to issue 30,000 shares more in order to satisfy its investors and the common shareholders. So that remaining 3,000 above the original amount to be issued is called your oversubscription. That means कि आपके shares ज़्यादा shareholders या आपके investors ज़्यादा shares खरीदना चाहते हैं किसी company के, and that is mostly in case when your company has a very good image or a very good reputation. Now the next point we have is regulation of security offerings, which we studied in the last lecture, where we studied the specific regulations, or we can say the rules that are being followed in order to issue the shares to the general public. The first one is your registration statement. That is very important, and most of there are certain laws or statements, laws or the rules of statement that is to be issued and which has been formed in previous years of 19th century, where 19th or 20th century, where there were specific laws to be followed in order to issue your shares to the general public. Now the first thing is your registration statement. The registration statement is specific statement that says the intention of the company, or it gives a brief overview of the company's issues and shares and their price, the dividend, and about the company as well. Now within this registration statement there is something called a prospectus. A prospectus is basically your document, basic document that includes all the information of the company's name, company's address, its director's address, its existing shareholders or others' address, and it also requires specific names of the directors and certain other details of the company's operations. Now, for example, the company has some specific problems within a prospectus. It is sent to the Security and Exchange Commission. Security and Exchange Commission analyze and sort out some problem within registration statement or prospectus. That is returned back to the company. The company again makes changes and send edited report or updated report to the Security and Exchange Commission for issuing. Specific 20 days are required in order to issue your prospectus to the general public after it is being registered or after it is being provided to the Security and Exchange Commission. And Security and Exchange Commission had 20 more days, 20 to 40 days. They might increase the number of days, 20 to 40 days to analyze and after that when they approve it, they send it to the general public. Now there is something called red herring. Now red herring is whenever a company issued a registration statement or with the prospectus, and there is some problem that the SEC says that a certain number of statements need to be changed or need to be updated, and they get that information back to the, send that information back or prospectus back to the company. Now company for that specific time period will issue a red herring statement. That red herring statement would include a single statement with a red highlighted amount, or we can say the red ink pen. Specific red ink में आपकी कुछ एक amount लिखा होता है, information लिखी होती है that shows that it is a temporary information of the company or temporary statement of the company, which includes some basic information about the company, which is available to the investors for purchasing their shares. Now there is another thing that is called tombstone advertisement. Once their prospectus is red herring has been achieved, and after that prospectus and your registration statement has been completed and has been issued to the general public, there is another thing called tombstone advertisement. Now tombstone advertisement is basically an ad or a blockboard ad that includes the basic information of the company and its shares issue, number of shares to be issued, and the price of each share. And the dividend the company is planning to issue to the general public, or if they are offering shares for the second time, they are going to write down the dividend per share that has been given in the previous years. Now tombstone advertisement is one of the requirement or the rule from Security and Exchange Commission for the company to issue shares. That first time they are going to offer their shares through the newspaper advertisement. That is, in Pakistan it requires 2 English and 1 Urdu newspaper advertisement, which says a specific information about the company's general issue. And then we have blue sky laws. There are specific laws that to be followed in order to issue its shares to the general public. And then there was Sarbanes-Oxley Act in 2002, when there were 2 greater, or we can say 2 large bankruptcy cases of WorldCom and Enron Incorporation. They were the companies which went from USA, which went bankrupted, and they were diluted, or we can say that there was a huge bankruptcy fraud case from both the companies. And that case, Sarbanes-Oxley Act was enacted, in which where there is a certain other requirements of the company and very strict restrictions on selecting the external auditor of the company, and some more information. That information is required by the company to select its auditor, internal auditor and external auditor, and there is a committee or a trustee or someone from Security and Exchange Commission that foresee all the information and that see that whether your external auditor is complying with the state certain laws or not. The next point we have is private placement. In private placement, there is an option with the company that company wants to sell the whole issue to someone in the specific someone in financial market. They are mostly your financial intermediaries which purchase the whole shares of the company, and they on behalf of company they issue their shares to the general public. That is called your private placement. Beside private placement, we have initial financing that we discussed in our last lecture and in the previous chapters as well, which includes your venture capital, that is the amount of capital to be invested in the company, and the definition of your capital structure, that how much financing they would be needing from equity financing, and they would how much they required to issue, how much shares they required to issue. And then we also talked about initial public offering, that is the issuing your shares for the very first time to the general public, which also includes your second public offering, where the company is offering the shares to the general public for the second time, and similarly we have third and fourth and fifth public offering, depending upon the number of times the company is issuing shares to the general public. The new shares to the general public. Then we have signaling effects, which basically includes where I told you about the share price as a barometer of the company, which actually provides some information to you. That information, specific information, for example, if the share price is increasing, that means its demand is increasing. That means company is prospecting very good. Company has a very good profitability or a very good image within the financial market that people want to have their shares. Similarly, if the share price is decreasing, that means the supply is increasing and people are not, or the investors are not very much interested in investing in that specific company. So your price or your other issue of a company, or its increasing or decreasing trend, basically is a signal for the investors, or we can say it specific encompasses the information that is being given to the investors for making better decisions for their investment. Then we talked about asymmetric information, that is the information available to your to the company or the representatives of the company or the management of the company who have all the information, that what is the performance of the company, how the operations are being done, how company is going to perform, and what is company's a position within its industry, and many other information, but the original information, but not all and original information is being provided to the investors, and they do not have all the information. That is called information asymmetry, that one party has all the information, the other one has not all original information available. That includes the risk for investors as well. Then we discussed about the secondary market. You all know that secondary market we have been discussing as the type of market where they are already issuing outstanding shares are being traded or purchased or sold within a financial market, and the company is not involved in your secondary market, and the proceeds that has been done or gained or lost by the investors within a secondary market, the company is not included on does not have anything to do with those proceeds. This is and the best example for your secondary market are your stock exchanges. In Pakistan it's Karachi, Lahore and Islamabad Stock Exchange. Now that was all about your previous lecture. Let's move on to your today's lecture. That is about long-term debt, preferred stock and common stock. Let's have a brief overview that what we are going to study in this lecture. We are going to study about the bonds and their features. We have studied some of the features in our previous lectures of bond valuation, but we are going to study these features in detail today. Then we have types of long-term debt instruments. We have retirements of bonds, rights of common shareholders and dual class common stock. Now we have specifically starting with the bonds and their features. Let's define bond that we have been defining in the previous chapters as well. That bond is a long-term debt instrument with a final maturity generally being 10 years or more. Then we have certain basic information or basic terms we studied about in our previous lecture. That was about the par value. The par value of a bond is basically the value that at which or the price at which the bond is going to be issued. That is, for example, most of the time it is in the lots of hundred and thousands. And for example, if I say that the bond company ABC has issued a bond at rupees 1,000 for 20 years. At a coupon interest rate of 10%. Now when I say that company has issued a bond at a par value of 10 rupees, that means or simply issued a bond at rupees 1,000. That rupees 1,000 is your par value. We also call it as face value or maturity value. That is being stated specifically on your bond, and the bonds are issued at that price, and that is the price. Why we call it as a maturity value? Because that is the price being given or returned to your bond holders at the time of maturity. Then we have maturity. When I said that ABC Incorporation issued bonds for rupees 1,000 for next 20 years. That next 20 years it's its maturity. That means if the bond is being issued today, that means after 20 years the bond is going to mature. The bond is going to fully mature with all its interest payments to be made and its original principal amount to be returned at that specific date. So that is your maturity date, or we can say the maturity of bond is 20 years. Now when I say ABC Incorporation issued bonds at rupees 100 for next 20 years at a coupon interest rate of 10%. Now whenever I say it's a coupon interest rate at 10%, that means it's a coupon rate. 10% is the interest rate that is going to determine the interest payment that is to be paid for the next 20 years equally to your bond holders. So 10% into 1,000 that will give us with the interest payment, and 1,000 is the par value. Out of that par value we have 10% amount to be issued every year, or the amount of interest payment to be paid every year on the par value. So par value 1,000, 10% into 1,000 is equals to 100 rupees. That means 100 rupees is to be paid each year as an interest payment for next 20 years to the bond holders. This is called your coupon rate or coupon interest interest rate, or we can say interest payment. Then we have bond ratings. We did study bond ratings in detail, where we studied three different bonds, types of bonds, and we also studied different kinds of bond ratings. In Pakistan it's PACRA, and in JCRVIS, two major credit rating agencies which give a credit rating to the companies and the specific bond ratings to the companies. Then when we talk about international companies, we have Moody's International, and we have Standards and Poor's Incorporation. They give an international standing or international ratings to the companies. Now when we talked about three different bonds we studied within the bond ratings, they were your investment grade bonds, which have very low risk but very high return. They give high yield because they are specifically those which from those companies which have very secured companies. We can call them as blue chip companies, the companies which are financially very strong, that they can they can ensure the return to the investor. So investors who are very much interested in having a secure investment or having a secure return, they'll definitely focus on investing in the companies with the rating of investment grade bond that start from AAA to AAA to BB, or we can say AAA to single B. Now the price of your investment grade bond is very high. That's why your then we have after investment grade bonds, we studied about the junk bonds, or we studied about the bonds in default. The junk bonds are specifically those bonds which do yield high return sometimes, depending upon the situation, but their cost is low, but there is a high amount of risk involved. So those investors who are risk takers, they specifically invest in those securities with the junk bond, or the ratings is from BB to single C. Or triple C. Then we have specific bonds which are in default D, bond ratings with D as your default, bonds which are in default. So specifically those companies which have the risk of going into bankruptcy, or those companies which are into which has been bankrupted, those companies have a rating of D, and definitely no one is going to invest in those specific bonds. Well, that is the few basic terms of the features of the bonds. Let's move on to your some other features which we have studied in detail in previous chapters of bond valuation, which includes your trustee and indenture. Now, trustee is a person or institution that is designated by your bond issuer as the official representative of the bondholders. Typically, a bank serves as a trustee, or we can say a watchdog. A watchdog who oversees everything, that whether your company who is issuing the shares are following your rules and regulations or not. Then we have the indenture. It is a legal document, or we can say an agreement, also called as the deed of trust, between the corporations issuing the bonds and the bondholders, establishing the terms of the bond issue and naming the trustee. Specifically, they name the trustee, that is the specific bank or an organization that is going to be a trustee for bondholders and the company. And they within an agreement or indenture, there are certain terms and conditions that is to be followed by your issuing corporation and your bondholders. That includes that whether the bonds will be callable or not, whether the bonds will have certain provisions and certain requirements, what is its maturity date, at what price it is being issued, and all other certain details that is being given within an indenture or a legal agreement. Now we have types of long-term debt instruments. Let's look at few of the different types of debt instruments. We have been studying about the bonds, and then we had the callable bonds or convertible bonds, but we didn't study in detail few more other types of debt instruments. Now let's look at another type, that is your debenture. That is most of the time bonds and debentures are taken as similar and hand in hand, but your debentures are a bit different from your bonds. Bonds are more secure and long-term debt instruments, while your debentures are unsecured long-term debt instruments. When we talk about unsecured long-term debt instrument, that is your investors look to the earning power of the firm as their primary security. Now investors receive some protection by the restrictions imposed in the bond indenture, particularly any negative pledge clause. Now इसमें होता क्या है कि most of the time the investors are wanted to invest in companies with which provide certain security to them, but there are certain other options available, that is in case of your debenture, that is an unsecured debt. That means nothing has been pledged against debenture. There is no indenture kind of a thing. Indenture is not being signed. There is no certain security that there will be a trustee or not. But and specifically in case of debentures, who are also whenever the companies who issued debentures, there are certain debenture holders. They are specific your creditors of the company. That means company is going to get financing from your debenture holders, and they are going to but they are not secured. Now, this type of investment is mostly done by your risk takers who invest in the company and who know that the company is going to be fine in the or have a better rating in future. Now, your specific investors, as they don't have any security or any indenture or a trustee, they are or any specific fixed amount of interest payment to be made, or they don't know what is going to be their requirements. They specifically look to the earning power of the company. Then what is whenever they are going to invest, they are going to look at the earning power of the company. Then what is the earning power of the company? What is the profitability of the company? Company is earning. What is company earning in the previous years, and what is the percentage increase within previous years? Now, beside this, investors receive some protection by the restrictions imposed in the bond indenture, particularly any negative pledge clause. Now, specifically looking at is what is a negative pledge clause, that is that stops the corporation from pledging any of its assets to other creditors. For example, अगर मैंने स्पेसिफिक मेरी प्रॉपर्टी थी एक कंपनी की, बिल्डिंग या प्रॉपर्टी, लैंड और बिल्डिंग था, इसको मैंने प्लेज किया और उसके अगेंस्ट मैंने कुछ लोन ले लिया है. नाउ दैट इज योर नेगेटिव प्लेज क्लॉज. इसके अलावा एक नेगेटिव प्लेज क्लॉज उसमें ऐड किया जाता है आपके इंडेंचर के अंदर, जिसके अंदर स्पेसिफिकली ये लिखा जाता है कि कंपनी जो है इसी प्रॉपर्टी को दोबारा से किसी और फाइनेंसिंग के लिए या किसी और लोन के लिए दोबारा प्लेज या मॉर्गेज नहीं कर सकती. तो एक दफा एक प्रॉपर्टी हो गई, दूसरी दफा दूसरी, तीसरी, अब ये सारी होने के बाद कंपनी does not have anything else to pledge or give the investor specifically or any other financiers certain amount of property to be pledged or mortgaged. Now, in that case, company is going to issue its debentures. Whenever there is a negative pledge clause that the company cannot issue its similar property for another kind of your investments or financing on a loan, then in that case there is a negative pledge clause. Now we have another kind of debentures which are called your or long-term debt instruments, which are called as your subordinated debentures, a long-term unsecured debt instrument with a lower claim on assets and income other than your classes of debt known as your junior debt. Now ऐसा जरूर है कि जब भी फॉर एग्जाम्पल हमने क्लेम्स ऑफ एसेट्स की बात की थी, अगर आपको याद हो तो नेट इनकम सबसे पहले आपके एसेट्स जब भी बैंक्रप्सी होती है तो कंपनी के एसेट्स के ऊपर किसका क्लेम होगा, एंड सेकेंडली आपकी इनकम. अगर आपको याद हो तो वी डिड स्पेसिफिकली स्टडीड कि व्हेनेवर देयर इज अ क्लेम ऑन एसेट्स वी हैव क्लेम ऑन एसेट्स, जहां मैंने बहुत ज्यादा डिटेल में आपको कुछ की फीचर्स पढ़ाए थे स्टॉक वैल्यूएशन की स्टार्ट में, क्लेम ऑन एसेट और इनकम. Now, in case of this claim on assets or income, we have at first we have employees or general public, then we have your creditors, then we have your preferred shareholders, and then at the last we have our common shareholders. Now, when we talk about creditors specifically, we are actually talking about your loan bank, then we talk about our bondholders, and then we talk about our debenture holders. So, यहाँ पे ही आपके डिबेंचर होल्डर्स आ जाते हैं क्रेडिटर्स के अंदर. क्लेम ऑन एसेट्स एंड इनकम की जब भी बात होगी तो आपका डिबेंचर हो या आपका सबऑर्डिनेटेड डिबेंचर हो या आपका बॉन्ड हो, तो जब भी इनकम या क्लेम्स ऑन एसेट्स होगा, आपकी नेट इनकम में से सबसे पहले जो आता है ऑपरेटिंग इनकम के अंदर, वैसे आपकी माइनस कौन सी होती है, स्पेसिफिकली योर इंटरेस्ट एक्सपेंस. दैट इंटरेस्ट एक्सपेंस includes all the expenses that is being given to your bank for as a loan, that is being given to your bondholders, and that the amount of payment that is has been given to your debenture holders or the subordinated debenture holders. So ये इन सबकी interest payments करने के बाद आपके taxes लगते हैं, taxes लगने के बाद you have your net income. Out of that net income you pay to your preferred stockholders and the residual income is being given to your common shareholders. Now जहाँ पे हम creditors की बात करते हैं who are on the second number, that means कि whenever there is a bankruptcy and there is a claim on asset, the creditors will be the first one to offer employees and your customers, the creditors will be the first one to get their required amount of investment being done in the company in return. Then we have frequently the second securities convertibility into common stock. अगर आपको याद हो तो हमने कुछ convertible bonds पढ़ते हैं जिसके अंदर ये subordinated debentures है वो basically इनके ठीक है इनके bond holders and debentures के बाद इनका claim आता है लेकिन preferred and common से पहले आता है, they are included in your creditors. तो second इसमें एक चीज़ है वो ये है कि इसकी जो security ये specific security है subordinated debentures, they are allowed to be converted, and most of the time companies consider this that they are allowed to be converted into common stock to lower the yield. That means in order to pay of interest payment to your subordinated debentures, there is an option given that you can convert your these subordinated debentures into shares. That means you are getting away from being from company's creditor to being company's shareholders. And in that case, the company most of the time reducing its return to be given to as on investment to your debenture holders. Then there is another specific type of your long-term debt instrument, that is your income bonds. Now income bond is a bond where the payment of interest is contingent upon the sufficient earnings of the firm. That means specifically whenever the company is going to earn its profit or income at sufficient amount of income, in that case only company is going to give income or interest payment in that specific year to your bond holders, income bond holders. Now ऐसा जरूर होता है कि for example अगर company की after interest payments और taxes और उसके बाद जो net profit आता है उसमें से कुछ retain earnings या जो भी projects को finance करना है उनके लिए कुछ amount रख ली जाए, that is means your earning is being retained. और अगर कंपनी अर्न कर रही है स्पेसिफिकली उसको नजर आ रहा है कि कंपनी इज गोइंग टू अर्न समथिंग आफ्टर मेकिंग इट्स इंटरेस्ट पेमेंट और टैक्सेस और अपने रिटर्न अर्निंग्स करने के बाद भी उसके पास कुछ अमाउंट बच जाएगी तो स्टिल इट देन इट कंसिडर टू गिव इट्स इंटरेस्ट ऑन इनकम अमाउंट टू योर इनकम बॉन्ड्स इनकम बॉन्ड होल्डर्स. तो स्पेसिफिकली इसमें यही कंसिडर किया जाता है कि आपके जितने भी इनकम बॉन्ड होल्डर्स होते हैं उनको अगर इफ कंपनी हैज सफिशिएंट अमाउंट देन इट इज बीइंग गिवन टू योर इनकम बॉन्ड होल्डर्स. नाउ frequently there is a cumulative feature. Now what is cumulative feature? That means which provides that an unpaid interest in a particular year accumulates. That means अगर मैंने एक साल नहीं दिया दूसरे साल नहीं दिया तो तीसरे साल तक वो सब accumulate हो जाएगा, पहले साल का दूसरे साल का और तीसरे साल वाला भी वो सारा accumulate होके एक फॉर्म में बन जाएगा. And the cumulative application is usually limited to not more than 3 years. That means for example after 3 years it does not pay any amount of income to your income bond holders. After 3 years it is going to pay your amount accumulated for first year, second year and third year. Okay, पहले साल दूसरे साल फर्स्ट ईयर का सेकंड ईयर की अगर इंटरेस्ट पेमेंट थी थर्ड ईयर की थी और फिर अलॉन्ग विद दैट फोर्थ ईयर की जो पेमेंट थी वो मिला के इट इज गोइंग टू पे 400 एज एन एक्यूमुलेटेड अमाउंट. दैट मीन्स कि जो पहले साल की दूसरे साल तीसरे साल जिसकी बच गई थी सबकी मिला के मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम द अमाउंट इज नॉट एक्यूमुलेटेड मोर देन 3 years. Okay, now these bonds are unpopular with investors but are still senior to your preferred stockholders and common stockholders. That means preferred to common को देने से पहले हम इनकम बॉन्ड होल्डर्स को देते हैं considering कि आपके पास एक sufficient amount of return available है. Now there is another type of bond that is junk bond जो कि हम discuss कर चुके हैं already when we gave rating to the bonds. There are investment grade bonds and then we have bonds who are rated below your investment grade bonds and they have high risk but high yield. That is often an unsecured amount that इसको एक return certain मिलेगा पर बहुत ज़्यादा risk उसमें involved होता है. Now these are the bonds with a rating of BB to lower BB से लेकर CCC तक इसकी रेटिंग होती है. Now principal investors are pension funds, high yield bond mutual funds and some other individual investors who are the investors of these junk bonds and who are very much interested in taking more risk. Then we have its liquidity varies depending on the investor sentiment, that whatever they it depends on them that whether or they are going to sell it out. Now we have another type of investment, that is your mortgage bond. Now mortgage bond is a bond that is issued secured by a mortgage on the issuer's property. That means कि for example if I am from the company and I am going to issue some bonds to the general public, in that case I am going to pledge something against that issue के मेरे कुछ अगर in case अगर मैं ये पेमेंट्स पे ना भी कर सकी एज अ कंपनी या प्रॉफिट्स ना भी हुए और वो इंटरेस्ट पेमेंट्स नहीं बन सकती, तो उनके अगेंस्ट एक समथिंग आई एम प्लेजिंग समथिंग दैट इन केस अगर बैंक्रप्सी हो गई या अगर पेमेंट्स ना दे सकी, तो दैट सर्टेन प्रॉपर्टी विल बी सोल्ड आउट एंड योर पेमेंट्स विल बी मेड टू योर दैट मॉर्गेज बॉन्ड होल्डर्स. तो मॉर्गेज बॉन्ड इज काइंड ऑफ अ बॉन्ड व्हिच इज प्लेज्ड अगेंस्ट some property or something. The issue is secured by a claim on specific assets of the corporation. Corporation के specific assets pledge किए गए होते हैं. The market value of the collateral must be greater than the amount of the bond issue of a reasonable margin for this in case of safety or the help to protect your bond holders. इसमें क्या किया जाता है, इसकी market value of the collateral जो भी pledge किया जा रहा है, for example एक land pledge किया जा रहा है, उसकी value bond की value से या price से ज़्यादा होनी चाहिए. Now if the corporations default, in that case the trustee can foreclose on behalf of the bond holders. बंद कर सकते हैं bond specific bonds को, and the bond holders become general creditors of the company, जिसके अंदर any residual income after the sale of the contract, जितना भी collateral था उसको sale out करने के बाद जो amount बच जाएगा वो उनको दे दी जाती है in case of your mortgage bond. Now the corporations may have a first mortgage and a second mortgage on the same assets. The first mortgage has a senior claim on the asset. For example मेरे पास एक land है, वो लैंड जो है वो किसी मैंने अगर फर्स्ट टाइम बॉन्ड्स इशू किए और वो बॉन्ड इशू करने के बाद मैंने उनको प्लेज किए या मॉर्गेज किया स्पेसिफिक लैंड के साथ, और सेकंड टाइम दोबारा बॉन्ड्स इशू या कुछ और इशू किया है और उसको भी मैंने प्लेज कर दिया उसी सेम लैंड के साथ, तो वो आपका फर्स्ट मॉर्गेज और सेकंड मॉर्गेज होता है. लेकिन फर्स्ट मॉर्गेज को पहली प्रेफरेंस दी जाती है कि उसको सेल आउट करने के बाद पहले फर्स्ट मॉर्गेज की प्राइस दी जाती है और फिर रिमेनिंग जो बच जाता है दैट इज बीइंग गिवन टू योर सेकंड मॉर्गेज. एंड वी हैव योर इक्विपमेंट ट्रस्ट certificates. They are another type of a long-term debt instrument that is rarely being used by the organizations but is specifically for some other service provider organization or the government organization. We do have an importance of studying them so that we have a concept of these type of certificates as well. Now let's look at the equipment trust certificate, that what they basically are. Now an intermediate to long-term debt security, they are not only long-term debt security but they are intermediate to long-term debt security, usually issued by a transportation company or mostly by your other government institutions such as a railroad or airline that is used to finance the new equipment. Now whenever I have to finance the new equipment, I will issue certain amount of certificates and get that financing to purchase or finance that new equipment. Now they are specifically used by your transportation company. Now for example we have a railroad that arranges with the trustee. अब इसका पूरा process किस तरह से होता है, we have specific one person in between or the one party. We can say we have trustee, we have a company, and we have your general public who are our investors. So we have investors, we have trustee, and we have company. Now what happened that our railroad arranges with the trustee to purchase that equipment from a manufacturer. There is a manufacturer as well, that is your third party, who is your manufacturer. So he or she or the company is a manufacturer of your specific that specific equipment that is being required by your transportation company. Now railroad arranges with the trustee to purchase equipment from a manufacturer. The manufacturer से वो अरेंज ये करता है कि ट्रस्टी जो है वो मैन्युफैक्चरर से स्पेसिफिक इक्विपमेंट खरीदे. Now railroad signs a contract with the manufacturer for the construction of specific equipment. Now what they do is they sign a contract. When the equipment is delivered, equipment trust certificates are sold to the investors. Now इसमें क्या है कि वो एक contract करते हैं with the manufacturer and they arrange with the trustee कि वो अपने हमारे जितनी भी financing है उसकी वो आपके परचेज करे, इक्विपमेंट परचेज करके इनको दे दे. किसको दे दे? यहाँ पे इक्विपमेंट. अब क्या है कि वी हैव मैन्युफैक्चरर, वी हैव ट्रस्टी, वी हैव कंपनी. क्या किया जाएगा कि कंपनी जो है वो ट्रस्टी को ये कहती है कि आप हमारी जगह इक्विपमेंट खरीदे. वो इक्विपमेंट उनकी जगह खरीद के कंपनी को दे देती है. कंपनी कॉन्ट्रैक्ट साइन करती है विद द मैन्युफैक्चरर कि उनके लिए इक्विपमेंट बनाया जाए. ट्रस्टी खरीद के कंपनी को दे देती है. अब ट्रस्टी क्या करता है कि नाउ व्हेन द इक्विपमेंट इज डिलीवर्ड, जब इक्विपमेंट मिल जाता है, द इक्विपमेंट ट्रस्ट सर्टिफिकेट्स आर सोल्ड टू द इन्वेस्टर्स. देन कंपनी स्पेसिफिकली अपने सर्टिफिकेट जो है वो सोल्ड आउट कर देती है टू द जनरल पब्लिक. नाउ प्रोसीड्स जो प्रोसीड्स उससे आती हैं प्लस द रेल रोड डाउन पेमेंट आर यूज टू पे द मैन्युफैक्चरर, और आपकी जो डाउन पेमेंट होती है प्लस उसकी जो इंटरेस्ट अमाउंट होती है वो सारी पे की जाती है टू योर मैन्युफैक्चरर थ्रू ट्रस्टी. सो द टाइटल ऑफ द इक्विपमेंट इज हेल्ड बाय द ट्रस्टी एंड द ट्रस्टी लीजेस द इक्विपमेंट टू द रेल रोड. इक्विपमेंट खरीद लिया ट्रस्टी ने और पेमेंट्स कर दी. अब वो जो पेमेंट्स बेसिकली हो किस तरीके से की रही होती है, डाउन पेमेंट प्लस योर सर्टेन अदर प्रोसीड्स जो कि हर साल मिल रही होती है टू द फ्रॉम द इन्वेस्टर से जो अभी आएंगे उसके बाद उन्होंने पेमेंट कर दी टू द मैन्युफैक्चरर. और ट्रस्टी जो है उसके पास एक स्पेसिफिक टाइटल ऑफ द इक्विपमेंट ट्रस्टी के पास होगा और वो लीज कर देगा अपनी अमाउंट टू योर मैन्युफैक्चरर. अब लीज करने के बाद जो अमाउंट आपके कंपनी जो है, जो रेल रोड कंपनी है या ट्रांसपोर्टेशन कंपनी है, वो जो कुछ अर्न करेगी दे आर गोइंग टू पे टू योर ट्रस्टी एज अ लीज पेमेंट एंड दैट पेमेंट इज बीइंग गिवन टू योर मैन्युफैक्चरर. नाउ लीज पेमेंट्स आर यूज्ड टू पे अ फिक्स्ड डिविडेंड टू द सर्टिफिकेट होल्डर्स एंड रिटायर अ स्पेसिफाइड पोर्शन ऑफ द सर्टिफिकेट्स एट रेगुलर इंटरवल्स. तो रेगुलर इंटरवल के ऊपर एक सर्टेन अमाउंट पे वो रिटायर भी करते हैं और लीज पेमेंट्स आर गिवन एज अ फिक्स्ड डिविडेंड टू योर इन्वेस्टर्स. नाउ आफ्टर द फाइनल लीज पेमेंट ऑल द सर्टिफिकेट्स आर रिटायर्ड. सारे सर्टिफिकेट्स को वापस ले लिया जाता है एंड द टाइटल ऑफ इक्विपमेंट इज पासेस फ्रॉम योर ट्रस्टी टू योर रेल रोड company or a transportation company. This is a simple process for your equipment as trust certificates. Now there is something called asset securitization. Now asset securitization है क्या? Let's look at this. The process of packaging a pool of assets and then selling those selling interest in the pool in the form of asset-backed securities. That means कि आप अगर let's suppose एक asset लिया, उस तरह के similar asset लेके एक pool of assets बनाया है और उनको आप क्या करते हो, कहते हो कि आपने बेचना है, उनके अगेंस्ट जो है कुछ फाइनेंसिंग क्रिएट करनी है. अब ये एसेट सिक्योरिटाइजेशन जो पूरा ऑफ एसेट्स बनाई, दे आर बीइंग बैक्ड बाय योर एसेट बैक्ड सिक्योरिटीज. वो ऐसे एसेट बैक्ड सिक्योरिटीज से होती है. वो एसेट बैक्ड सिक्योरिटीज कौन सी? वो सिक्योरिटीज जिनके पीछे समथिंग मॉर्गेज या प्लेज हुआ होता है. तो एसेट बैक्ड सिक्योरिटी बेसिकली क्या है? योर डेट सिक्योरिटीज विद इंटरेस्ट एंड प्रिंसिपल पेमेंट्स आर प्रोवाइडेड बाय द कैश फ्लोज कमिंग फ्रॉम अ डिस्क्रीट पूल ऑफ एसेट्स. को एक सर्टेन अमाउंट ऑफ, नाउ इसमें हमारे पास 3 स्टेप्स है. द फर्स्ट स्टेप इज योर एसेट्स. In assets के आगे we have asset backed securities. We have certain those securities which are backed by these assets. For example, we can say उनके ऊपर कुछ mortgage. और these asset backed securities basically जितनी भी होती हैं वो different किस्म के asset backed securities मिला के आपके पास एक pool of assets create किया जाता है जिसको हम asset securitization कहते हैं. Now that pool of assets जो है वो specifically asset securitization कहा जाता है and they are being backed by your asset backed securities. और asset backed securities के पीछे कोई specific assets होते हैं क्योंकि asset backed securities में pool of asset securities होते हैं जो कि backed by assets किए जाते हैं. और in case the purpose is to reduce the financing cost and then the firm pick assets to package and use the cash flows. So वो package करते हैं और उसके बाद cash flows उनके use करते हैं. Now assets removed from the balance sheet and sold to the bankruptcy remote entity. अब assets आपकी बैलेंस शीट से खत्म कर दी जाती है, वैसे स्पेसिफिकली बेच दिए जाते हैं टू योर स्पेशल पर्पस व्हीकल, स्पेशल पर्पस एंटिटी उनको बेच दिए जाते हैं. वो बेसिकली बैंक्रप्सी को खत्म करने में हेल्प करती हैं. तो इसमें वी रेजेस मनी बाय सेलिंग दोस बैक्ड एसेट बैक्ड सिक्योरिटीज टू द जनरल पब्लिक. उसके बाद वो उसको एसेट्स को करते हैं ना. इन केस ऑफ बैंक्रप्सी तो फिर क्या होगा कि वो इन्हीं एसेट्स बैक्ड सिक्योरिटीज को बेचते हैं या इनके पीछे जो एसेट्स होते हैं उसको बेच के फॉर क्लेम्स उनके कंप्लीट करते हैं. Now we have another topic, that is your retirement of bonds. We have sinking fund provision, that is a certain specific provision with the bonds or we can say it is being written in your indenture of the bond के जिसके अंदर लिखा जा रहा है कि अगर sinking fund provision provide करना है या नहीं करना. Now sinking fund provision में होता क्या है? Now it is a fund established to periodically retire a portion of a security issue before maturity. Maturity से पहले उसका थोड़ा पोर्शन जो है उसको रिटायर करते रहते हैं. That means कि अगर मैंने 1000 के बॉन्ड 1000 का बॉन्ड खरीदा था, ₹1000 उसकी पार वैल्यू थी, तो सिंकिंग फंड के साथ क्या होगा कि 100 फिर 100 हर साल और आखिर में जाके एक पेमेंट पूरी 100 की कर दी. तो दैट मीन्स हर साल उसकी थोड़ी ओवरऑल अमाउंट जो है वो थोड़ा उसको रिटायर करते जाते हैं एंड में आके उसकी जो ओवरऑल पेमेंट होती है वो कर दी जाती है. Now उसके 2 डिफरेंट तरीके हैं. The corporation makes a cash payment to the trustee with which calls the bond. So trustee को पैसे दे देते हैं, trustee जो हमने bonds को call कर लेता है. Now the corporation or we have another option that the corporation purchases the bonds in the open market से सारे purchase कर ले and delivers them to the trustee. फिर आगे trustee जो है वो उनकी payments करता है. की हेल्प आउट करता है टू पे. नाउ व्हेन द बॉन्ड्स आर कॉल्ड फॉर रिडेम्पशन, द बॉन्ड होल्डर्स रिसीव द सिंकिंग फंड प्रोविजन. उसमें वो थोड़े थोड़े उनके सिंकिंग फंड कॉल प्राइस जो है उनको वो मिल जाएगी. नाउ द बॉन्ड्स आर कॉल्ड ऑन द लॉटरी बेसिस, दैट इज बाय देयर सीरियल नंबर्स and published in the periodicals like Wall Street Journal. Now, bonds should be purchased in the open market if the market price is less than your sinking fund call price. Now, volatility in your interest rates or a decline in the credit quality of the firm could lower the market price of the bonds and enhance the value of the firm of having this option. Then we have the bondholders. They may have a benefit, benefit from the orderly retirement of debt, which reduces the default risk. Definitely, it is going to reduce the default risk of the firm and adds liquidity to the bond outstanding. Now we have another thing that is called your balloon payment, a payment on the debt that is much larger than your other payments. And ऐसी पेमेंट जो कि बाकी पेमेंट से ज़्यादा होती है. Many bond issues are designed to have a larger final payment to pay off the debt. For example, अगर sinking fund, क्योंकि हम sinking fund provision या retirement of the bonds की बात करें तो थोड़ी पेमेंट्स कुछ करनी है और आखिरी जो एक पेमेंट होती है वो बहुत large amount of payments होती है. Now let's suppose for example a corporation may undertake a $10 million 15-year bond issue. That means $10 million के total bonds थे जो कि 15 year के लिए इशू किए गए. The firm is obligated to make $500,000 sinking fund payments. Sinking fund payments होते कुछ इनको रिटायर करने के लिए कुछ पेमेंट्स करनी है. The first payment is to be made in 5th through 14th year. 5th पे और 14th year तक उसने कुछ पेमेंट्स करनी है. The final balloon payment in the 15th year would be for the remaining 5 million of the bonds. तो पहले 500,000 bonds हैं वो इशू की उनकी sinking fund payments की गई on the 5th from 5th to 14th and then 15th year पे जाके 15th year पे जाके एक large amount of 5 million of the dollars of the bonds जो है वो कर दिए जाते हैं and that amount is called your balloon payment. That is larger from other payments. Then we have the serial payments, an issue of bonds with different maturities as distinguished from an issue where all the bonds have identical maturities. Now what it is an issue of bonds with different maturities. उसकी different maturity होती है as distinguished from an issue where all bonds have identical maturities. अब इसमें क्या है कि इस तरह के different bonds होते हैं कि उनकी maturity different होती है. Issue तो किए जाते हैं एक ही उसके ऊपर एक ही price और coupon interest, लेकिन उनकी maturities different होती हैं. Now for example, a $10 million issue of serial bonds might have $50,000 of predetermined bonds maturing each year for 20 years. अब क्या है कि $10 million का इशू किया गया था जिसमें से $500,000 प्री डिटरमिन्ड है कि बॉन्ड्स की मैच्योरिंग might have $500,000 of predetermined bonds maturing each year for the next 20 years, हर next 20 years के लिए. तो उसमें क्या है कि investors are able to choose the maturity that best fits their needs. wider investor appeal होती है और इसमें investors ज़्यादा ऐसे bonds में परचेज करने की कोशिश करता है. इसमें क्या है कि investors को कहा यह जाता है कि $10 million का इशू है तो $500,000 की उसकी $500,000 का उसकी प्रेफरेंस होगी जो कि प्री डिटरमिन्ड है कि दिस इज द अमाउंट टू बी मेक लेटर और इसकी जो मेच्योरिटी है दैट इज 20 इयर्स. नो ये देखें कि इन्वेस्टर्स आर एबल टू चूज द मेच्योरिटी दैट बेस्ट फिट्स देयर नीड. जो उनकी अकॉर्डिंगली नीड होती है उसके मुताबिक वो उन्होंने सिर्फ इतना बता दी कि $10 million होंगे. अब किसी की मेच्योरिटी फॉर एग्जाम्पल 20 ईयर बेस्ट सूट करती है वो इतने अमाउंट ऑफ उसको हर साल मिलता रहे और इतने ईयर्स तक, किसी का 15 इयर्स किसी का 30 इयर्स एंड दैट डिपेंड्स कि आप कितनी मेच्योरिटी उसको चूज करना चाहते हैं. दैट इज एन ऑप्शन विद द बॉन्ड होल्डर्स. Then we have call provision जो कि हमने last time पढ़ा था, a feature in an indenture that permits the issuer to repurchase the securities at the fixed price before the maturity, also called as call feature. एक call feature bonds के अंदर अगर है तो उसमें क्या है कि before maturity company can call the bonds. Not all the bonds are callable in periods of low interest, hence low coupon interest rates. Firms are more likely to issue non-callable bonds क्योंकि जिसमें interest rate ही low है. Now when the bond is callable, the call price is usually above the par value of the bond and often decreases over time. अच्छा ये call option normally इसीलिए रखा जाता है कि for example अगर मैं हूँ as a company मैंने bonds issue कर दिए, वो issue करने के बाद मेरे पास एक certain लो अमाउंट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट रेट चल रहा है तो तब तो बॉन्ड्स कॉलेबल नहीं होते. लेकिन अगर आपको पता है कि एक टाइम में बॉन्ड्स का जाके इंटरेस्ट रेट बहुत हाई हो जाना है तो कंपनी क्या करेगी, या इंटरेस्ट रेट बिल्कुल बहुत लो हो जाना है, इंटरेस्ट रेट ज्यादा पे तो नहीं लेकिन कम हो जाने पे कंपनी क्या करती है कि कंपनी अपने सारे के सारे बॉन्ड्स वापस मंगाती है जिसपे वो हाई रिटर्न, लेट्स सपोज मार्केट में इसका रिटर्न 10% चल रहा है और आपकी कंपनी 12% इंटरेस्ट दे रही है, तो कंपनी आपसे सारे, और कंपनी के पास कॉल का ऑप्शन है, तो कंपनी किसी भी टाइम अपने बॉन्ड्स को कॉल कर लेगी अगर किसी भी टाइम है, या फिर अगर स्पेसिफाइड है कि किस टाइम पीरियड तक हमने बॉन्ड्स को कॉल करेगी। कॉल करने के बाद कंपनी विल डिसाइड कि जी बॉन्ड्स आर कॉलेबल, अच्छा जी बॉन्ड्स कॉल कर लिए, उसके बाद उनकी कॉल प्राइस वगैरह पे कर दी, उसके बाद कंपनी दोबारा से बॉन्ड्स इशू कर सकती है एट अ लोअर इंटरेस्ट रेट, क्योंकि मार्केट में इंटरेस्ट रेट कम चल रहा था ताकि उसको ज्यादा इंटरेस्ट पेमेंट्स ना करनी पड़े। नाउ द कॉल प्राइस, द प्राइस एट विच द सिक्योरिटी विद द कॉल प्रोविजन कैन बी परचेज बाय द इशूअर प्रायर टू एनी सिक्योरिटीज मैच्योरिटी, उसकी मैच्योरिटी से पहले पहले जब भी बॉन्ड्स खरीदे जाएंगे तो जिस प्राइस पे खरीदे जाएंगे उसको हम कॉल प्राइस, दैट इज द अमाउंट, एक्स्ट्रा अमाउंट जो उसके ऊपर पे की जाती है, दैट इज योर प्रीमियम। Now, for example, the call price for the first year might equal the bond's par value plus 1 year's interest। ऐसा हो सकता है कि वो क्या करे कि 1 साल के इंटरेस्ट प्लस your par value करके उसकी कॉल प्राइस को डिटरमिन कर ले। Now, according to when they can be exercised, all provisions can be either immediate or deferred। या तो उसी वक्त हो जाती है या थोड़ा टाइम बाद। Now, the call provision provides financing flexibility for the firm's conditions change, as the firm condition change, जो भी चेंज होती है उसके अलावा उनको वो हेल्प आउट करता है कंपनी को टू for the financial flexibility। Now that was about the call provision, or we can say the features and the types of the long-term debt instruments. We will be moving on to our preferred stock and common stock in our next lecture. Let's have a brief summary for you today's lecture. Now we studied about the bonds which are our long-term debt instruments and few of the features including the par value, the maturity, the coupon interest rate and the bond ratings that is being given to your bondholders. Then we studied about the trustee and the indenture, who are a trustee and who are and what is an indenture incorporates. Then we discussed about different types of long-term debt instruments, which includes your debentures, which are your unsecured long-term debt instruments, which are being and where the debenture holders basically relying on the earning power of the firm, and they are they have another type which is called your subordinated debentures, जिसके अंदर थोड़ी सी that is also unsecured, लेकिन आपके debentures subordinates जो हैं they come after your bond holders but they have a preference over preferred and common shareholders in claims of in terms of claims of assets or income. Then we have the junk bonds, specifically those bonds which have less rating from the investment grade bonds, from starting from BB to CCC, and which yield high return but they have higher risk as well. Then we have the income bonds, which are a type of a bond which in which your interest payments or your income is being given to the bond holders only when the company is earning some profit. Then we have the mortgage bonds. Those mortgage bonds are the bonds which are being pledged, which are being given as for them a certain amount of property of the company is being pledged or mortgaged. So when we mortgage something, we pledge something. In case the company goes bankrupt, the bond holders will have an option of getting that property sold out by the trustee and then give them their sales proceed or their original principal amount. Then we have the retirement of the bond. That is an option with the company that they can retire the bonds at the end of the maturity date or at the end of the maturity, or they can retire the bonds with the time period on a serial basis. That means we have the sinking funds. Sinking funds are specifically those funds which are help our organizations to retire few of the types. There are certain types in which we retire the bonds by giving certain funds each year to your bond holders, and then at the end of the day making certain payments till your maturity. कुछ करते करते वो थोड़ा थोड़ा अपने bonds को retire कर देते हैं instead of giving the whole par value at the end of the maturity date. Then we have the serial bonds, जिसके अंदर हमारी specifically हमने study की है कि उन specific serial wise उनको बुलाया जाता है और within a bank उनको issue किया गया है, या आपके जो trustee हैं वो specifically आपके लिए serial bonds को serial wise जो है with time period साथ साथ उनको bonds को retire करते जाते हैं. Then we talked about the call provision and the call price. That is, your call provision is a kind of a provision that is being given as an option to the organization to call their bonds in case their interest rate is lower in the market, or in case there is some problem, or in case the company is want to get their interest payment stop and purchase those call bonds from at a certain call price. That call price is a set price which is being paid to your bond holders in case of your in case that there is certain amount of risk involved for the company, or there is certain amount of increase in the cost. Now that was all about your today's lecture regarding your long-term debt instruments and their types and certain features. We will be moving on to our requirements of your preferred shareholders and common shareholders in our next lecture. Thank you.